Welcome to our TechSphere Podcast. Today, we're diving into AI.
AI.
Are we sleepwalking into an AI nightmare?
It's a big question.
It is. It is a big question. And it's definitely generating a lot of buzz right now.
Yeah, it is a lot of buzz.
But we're going to try to cut through the noise and really look at what's happening in the world of AI.
Yeah, and hopefully give people the knowledge to form their own opinions.
Exactly. So for this deep dive, we're looking at a BBC News YouTube video called Are We Sleepwalking into an AI Nightmare?
All right.
And it features some interesting people.
Yeah.
Pi Olson, author of the book Supremacy. Gary Marcus, author of Taming Silicon Valley.
Okay.
And AI commentator Stephanie Hare.
Yeah, so a good mix of people building AI and those who are analyzing it.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see how all of these different perspectives come together.
Yeah.
And they're all grappling with some big questions.
Yeah.
Is this current race for AI dominance actually hindering innovation rather than helping it?
Yeah.
Are these big tech giants using AI to amass power and wealth, maybe at our expense?
Interesting questions, for sure.
Right. And can regulation actually help guide innovation?
Or is it just going to hold everything back?
Or is it going to slow everything down?
Yeah.
So we're going to try to unpack all of those,
give
you the information, and then, go from there.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's jump right in.
Okay.
One of the things that these sources point to is what they're calling an AI duopoly.
An AI duopoly.
Which is essentially this rivalry between DeepMind, which is owned by Google, and OpenAI, which is backed by Microsoft.
Okay.
And it's almost like a proxy war between these tech giants,
right,
with each of them having their own vision for the future of AI.
It's interesting to contrast the leaders of these two companies.
Yeah.
You've got Demis Hassabis from DeepMind, who's very much driven by a deep scientific curiosity about intelligence itself,
Right.
He wants to understand how the brain works.
Yeah.
And then you've got Sam Altman at OpenAI, who's more focused on AI as an economic disruption and creating a world of abundance, so.
It's interesting how those two different mindsets are approaching this.
Yeah.
But one of the arguments that the sources make, particularly the BBC video and both of the books, is that this concentration of power in the hands of just a few companies could actually be stifling innovation.
Yeah, I mean, how can small companies or academics even hope to compete with the resources that these guys have?
Yeah, you're talking about Google and Microsoft.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. The combined market cap of the top 6 tech companies has grown by $6 trillion since ChatGPT was launched.
That's an insane amount of money.
It's a staggering amount of wealth.
Yeah, and it just kind of goes to show that, this could create this winner-takes-all dynamic,
right,
where all these smaller players just get squeezed out. And then we have this kind of scary concept that Gary Marcus talks about in Taming Silicon Valley, which is surveillance capitalism.
Surveillance capitalism.
He's essentially saying that companies are using AI to gather massive amounts of data on individuals, not to help them, but to profit from them.
Right, to exploit that data for their own gain.
Right, and he's particularly worried about OpenAI.
Interesting.
Even though their stated goal is to benefit humanity.
Yeah.
He thinks that they might be forced to go down this path of surveillance capitalism just to justify their valuation.
Because they have to show returns.
Right, because they've got to make money.
Yeah. It's a pretty stark warning.
It is a pretty stark warning.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, is this race for AI dominance really overshadowing?
Right. Are we ignoring the ethics?
The ethical considerations?
Yeah.
So speaking of checks and balances, what about regulation?
Regulation, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, Silicon Valley always says, regulation is going to stifle innovation.
Right, that's their go-to argument.
Right, but is that really true?
Well, I mean, look around. We have regulations in pretty much every industry.
Right.
Airlines, pharmaceuticals, you name it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times those regulations actually drive innovation because they set safety and ethical standards.
Yeah. Would you want to fly in a plane that hadn't been...
Exactly. Would you want to take a drug
right,
that hadn't gone through rigorous testing?
Exactly.
Right.
It's about making sure that the progress is responsible.
It's not about stopping progress. It's about guiding it.
Yeah. And there are examples of where regulation has worked. California's new data transparency law.
Okay.
That's holding tech companies accountable.
Right.
Without, bringing the whole industry to a halt.
Exactly.
So when it comes to AI, one of the big ideas that our sources bring up is this need for a pre-release system.
A pre-release system, okay.
Which means having AI models vetted by independent experts before they're released to the public. It's kind of like with pharmaceuticals.
Right.
Imagine if new drugs were released with no testing whatsoever.
Right. We don't do that.
We don't do that. And that's kind of what's happening in the AI world right now.
And the scary thing is OpenAI themselves admitted that their latest model could potentially be used to create bioweapons.
Yeah, that's a scary thought.
It is scary.
So, given all of this, what can we as individuals actually do?
Right, what can we do?
To make sure that AI is developed and used in a way that benefits all of us?
Well, the sources actually have some suggestions.
Okay, I'm all yours.
First of all, we can support government funding for alternative AI research.
Okay.
Research that's happening outside of the control of big tech.
So diversifying the research.
Exactly.
So it's not all
spreading the risk.
Yeah, in one place.
And potentially getting better outcomes.
Right.
We can also consider boycotting companies that misuse AI or exploit our data.
So voting with our wallet.
Exactly. Hit them where it hurts.
I like
their profits.
Okay, what else?
We can speak out against the overuse of AI-generated content, especially on social media.
So being more critical of what we see online.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And demanding more transparency from the platforms we use.
Okay.
And finally, one of the most important things we can do is stay informed.
Right.
And engage in these conversations about AI, ethics, and regulation.
Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power, exactly.
So we've got supporting alternative research, boycotting unethical companies, speaking out against AI-generated content,
right,
and just staying informed.
Staying informed.
These are all things we can do.
These are all things we can actually do to shape the future of AI.
It's not just something that is happening to us.
It's not inevitable.
We have a say.
We have agency. We can make choices.
So that's both empowering and a little daunting.
It is.
But it highlights how important it is to be a part of this conversation.
Absolutely.
So now let's dig a little deeper into this whole AI cartel idea.
Okay, let's do it.
How is this concentration of power actually playing out in the real world?
That's a great question. And to answer it, we need to look at some concrete examples of how these tech giants are influencing the development and direction of AI. One striking example from the BBC video is the sheer amount of money Microsoft is spending on data centers. $50 billion every year. Maybe even $100 billion.
Wow. That's more than some countries spend on their whole budget.
Exactly. It's a staggering amount of money.
Yeah. It really puts into perspective the kind of resources that these tech giants have.
It's mind-boggling. And again, it highlights that point we made earlier. How can startups, how can universities even dream of competing in this environment?
Yeah, it's not a level playing field.
It's not even close.
It's not even close.
They're playing a completely different game.
And so the sources are saying that this is being used to create this AI cartel. It's not just about building a better AI.
Right.
It's about controlling.
It's about controlling the whole game. The whole thing. The infrastructure, the data, the direction of AI research.
And this isn't just a theoretical concern.
Right.
The BBC video gives several examples of promising AI startups that were just snapped up by these big players.
Yeah.
Inflection-adept character AI.
All gone.
All gone.
Swallowed up by Microsoft, Amazon, Google.
It's like if you can't beat them, buy them.
Exactly. They're neutralizing the competition before it even gets started.
And it's not just about acquiring these startups.
Right.
It's about influencing policy and regulation as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, these companies, they have armies of lobbyists. They have the resources to shape the rules of the game.
And that's kind of worrying.
It is worrying because if the people writing the rules are the ones who stand to benefit the most from those rules, then you've got a system that's rigged in their favor.
Right. So it really makes you question, who is really shaping the future of AI?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Is it driven by, this desire to benefit humanity, or is it
just about profit and power?
Or is it just about, corporate interests and the pursuit of profit?
Yeah.
And one example that I think really gets to the heart of this is OpenAI.
OpenAI, yeah, the company behind ChatGPT.
The company behind ChatGPT, right? And on the surface, they've got this noble mission,
Yeah, to ensure that AGI benefits all humankind.
Right. But as Gary Marcus points out, in taming Silicon Valley, there's this immense pressure to generate profit.
They've got to justify that valuation.
To justify their valuation.
Billions and billions of dollars.
Right. So there's this tension between their stated goals and the realities of the market.
They're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Marcus even suggests that they might be forced to embrace surveillance capitalism, using AI to collect and monetize user data.
To keep the investors happy.
It's
a tough spot to be in.
And it raises some serious questions about how much control they actually have
right.
over their own destiny.
How much control do any of us have, really?
Right. And how much control do we as users have over our own data?
It all comes back to that, doesn't it?
It all comes back to that. Yeah. So this brings us back to the need for clear regulations, ethical frameworks.
We need some guardrails. Absolutely.
But it also makes me think about this whole role of AI in content creation.
Yeah.
You know, the BBC video talks about that AI-generated song.
Oh, yeah. The one about the Nobel Prize winners.
Yeah, celebrating the Nobel Prize winners.
It was kind of catchy.
It was kind of catchy.
Yeah?
Yeah. But it does raise some interesting questions.
Yeah, for sure.
About, what happens to human creativity in a world.
Right. Like, what does it mean for artists and musicians and writers?
Right. Will AI become this tool for collaboration, or is it going to eventually
just replace us altogether?
Yeah. That's a scary thought.
Yeah. And then there's this whole issue of misinformation and manipulation. Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
Yeah. The sources talk about this growing use of AI-generated content on social media to spread propaganda and just sow discord.
Right. It's getting harder and harder to tell what's real and what's fake. And imagine a world where I don't even want to imagine.
You can't tell. It's already getting bad enough as it is.
It is, and it's only going to get worse. Right, so it's not just about regulating the development of AI, it's also about regulating how it's used.
Its applications.
Right, particularly when it comes to, content creation, social media.
The potential for misuse is huge.
And the sources even highlight this really chilling example. OpenAI admitting that their latest model could pose a bioweapons risk.
That's terrifying.
It is terrifying.
But are we really just playing with fire here?
It's like we're treating AI development like some kind of Wild West experiment.
With no regard for the consequences.
Yes.
With no regard for the consequences?
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important.
Right.
For the public to be aware.
We can't just leave it to the tech industry to self-regulate.
Right. We can't trust them to do the right thing.
We need to be demanding transparency and accountability.
I need to be involved.
We all need to be a part of this conversation.
So it's not just leaving it to the experts.
This is about all of us.
It's about all of us taking responsibility.
Taking responsibility for the future.
For the future of AI.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, as we move into the final part of our deep dive, I want to shift gears a little bit and look at what a more positive, human-centered approach to AI might actually look like.
I like it. Let's end on a more hopeful note.
Yeah, let's end on a hopeful note.
Okay.
So what are some of the potential solutions and opportunities that our sources highlight?
Well, for all the risks and concerns we've talked about, let's not forget that AI also has the potential to solve some of the world's biggest challenges.
Okay, so give me some good news here. What kind of positive impact are we talking about?
Well, one area where AI is already making a real difference is healthcare.
Okay, healthcare.
Yeah, the sources talk about how AI algorithms can analyze medical images and actually detect diseases earlier and more accurately than humans can.
So earlier detection, that's huge for so many diseases.
It is. It can literally save lives.
Wow.
And it's not just about diagnosis. AI is also being used to develop personalized treatments, streamline drug discovery, even assist with surgery. I mean, it has the potential to completely revolutionize healthcare as we know it.
That's incredibly exciting.
Yeah.
It sounds like AI could help us live longer, healthier lives.
That's the hope.
What other areas are showing promise?
Another big one is environmental conservation. AI-powered drones and sensors can collect huge amounts of data about our planet, which can help us understand and address things like deforestation, pollution, and climate change.
So we can actually use AI to protect the planet.
Exactly. We can use it to monitor endangered species, track illegal logging, optimize resource management. The possibilities are really vast.
That's pretty amazing.
It is. It's like giving our planet a fighting chance.
Yeah, I like that. But I do wonder how do we make sure that AI is developed with these positive applications in mind? How do we actually steer it in the right direction?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
But the sources do offer some guidance.
Okay.
They emphasize the need to invest in research and development that aligns with human values and priorities.
So it's not just about what AI can do.
Right.
It's about what it should do.
Exactly. It's about making sure that AI is designed to serve humanity, not the other way around.
I like that. And they also suggest increasing government funding for alternative AI research.
Yeah, getting more diverse perspectives involved.
Right. So it's not just, these big tech companies calling all the shots.
Right. We need a wider range of voices at the table.
And they also encourage individuals to, support organizations and initiatives that are working to promote responsible AI development.
Put your money where your mouth is, right?
Right. So we can all play a role, not just by being informed consumers, but by
actively shaping the future we want.
Taking action.
Yeah, exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with a sense of both caution and hope.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
We've seen the potential risks of AI, but we've also seen the incredible opportunities it presents.
And the sources really drive home the point that the future of AI isn't some predetermined fate. It's being shaped right now by the choices we make.
So it's not a question of if AI will change the world, but how it will change the world.
It's up to us to decide what kind of future we want to create.
And that's a pretty powerful thought. It's a call to action for all of us.
It is. It's a wake-up call.
So to kind of leave our listeners with a final thought-provoking question that the BBC video poses, if we don't actively shape the development of AI, who will? That's a good one.
And what kind of future will they create?
It's a question we all need to be asking ourselves.
So will you sleepwalk through this AI revolution?
Right.
Or will you wake up and help shape its course?
The choice is yours.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI. It's been a fascinating journey.
It has been.
And remember, the conversation doesn't end here. Keep learning, keep questioning, and keep pushing for an AI-powered future that benefits all of humanity.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Please like, subscribe, and share this episode with your friends. Let's keep this crucial conversation going.